I have not shared on my channel yet that I've been dealing with some health challenges. Now, this is one of those really vulnerable areas for me to talk about. So it is not an easy thing for me to do. It is not an easy video to make, but I do feel like God has been really pressuring me and leading me to make this video. So I'm going to do my best to portray the information, and in hopes that it will help someone else or encourage someone else. I know that there's a reason that he wants me to put this out there to the public, which is always very challenging for me, and that could be the one and only reason, is just to trust and to walk in faith in him. And so I've been struggling with some unknown health challenges for quite a long time, probably for about 15 plus years. We've been trying to kind of figure out what is going on with me. I'm not going to go into great detail, but it very closely relates to God's Garden Bench, what it stands for, how capable I am kind of within this content creator space and creating content for you guys to see, and keeping up with the garden spaces and all of that. So we are pretty strongly suspecting that I could have Lyme disease. A lot of my symptoms are aligning with those or similar symptoms, some people's symptoms within that disease. So it has not been confirmed. We're still working on getting test results back and, answers, and it very well could not be Lyme disease, but in reflection and prayer and begging God to please help me figure out what is going on with my health, he's putting more and more puzzle pieces on the Lyme disease puzzle. And so I'm really working on accepting that and realizing that that could be my future, and just walking into that with faith. And in that comes grace for myself. So I struggle with pretty extreme fatigue at some points. My body hurts quite a bit, especially my joints. I struggle with when I ask my body to do something, as far as like my muscle strength is just not there in the same capacity. My mind doesn't work quite as fast as it once did. And so sometimes putting together a sentence or trying to figure out the word is very difficult for me, and it's getting worse. And so we have tried so many different things, some relatively extreme, mostly homeopathic, some not, to try to figure out what is going on with me. And a lot of the things will work for a season, and then all of my symptoms will come back, and sometimes worse than they were before I thought that I figured it out. So as this relates to gardening and being a creative person and absolutely loving dumping into this space, I also have to realize that it's okay to have grace with myself in this season, and realize that God has something absolutely beautiful to teach me through this difficult time and difficult realization. Because I want to obviously heal myself. That's something that I very, very much want to do. But I'm also realizing that it has to be in God's time. And so I actually had blood work scheduled, and the phlebotomist had a family emergency and had to cancel. And I was pretty gutted by that, because I was just like, okay, just 2 more days and I'll have, I'll be a little bit closer to an answer. And then I got that that notification that it was canceled, and they weren't sure when they were going to become available again. And so thankfully in that moment, God talked to me and was just like, all in my time, just wait. And so I'm waiting and I'm trusting, and thankfully I've been feeling a little bit better. I am working with a nutritionist, and she's really helping me try to figure out what's going on and all of that as well. So, but I've been feeling better, and then kind of slowly as the symptoms have been kind of creeping up the last couple days. And so it's gardening season, and there's so much to be done, and I just want to get out there and get it done and have that space be complete and check it off of my list, but that hasn't been able to happen, and it's been pretty discouraging for me and very overwhelming, because every day that passes the weeds get taller and the garden gets more out of control, and I struggle with that. I struggle not being in control of something that I feel like I should be able to control, which is the weeds in my garden, or, you know, getting something completed that I feel like I should be completely capable of doing. And so as I'm standing there in the log garden, I'm looking around, and the plants that I have planted are thriving and they're doing amazing. But there's also a whole lot of plants that I didn't plant, i.e. grass and weeds. And so I was just like, okay, start weeding it. And, you know, I went to bend over, and it was painful. And I struggle with that. I'm a young person. Pulling weeds out of my garden shouldn't hurt as much as it does. And I should have more energy. To function. But I don't. So as I'm realizing that that's not within my capability for today, I'm looking around, and I'm also seeing all of the volunteers that are coming back from last year. And I had this moment where I was like, you know what, maybe I should just make this the volunteer garden this year and allow all the flowers to come back, because there's quite a few zinnias, and there's squash and melons and all of these things that are coming back, potatoes. And so I might actually do that. Where I had planned for that space to be a very productive space full of all the things that I want to eat and all the things that I want to grow for myself and for my friends and family and really whoever would like it. That was my plan, and maybe not God's plan. So I might shift, and the log garden may not look the way that I had originally planned for it to look. And I'm really working on being okay with that. But I'm also really excited about that prospect, because it removes so much of the pressure that I've been putting on myself. And realizing that just because I made a YouTube video about my plan of what the log garden is supposed to look like, it's okay to shift and pivot and come on here and tell you guys what's going on and give a little bit of an explanation of the why behind it. And maybe it'll give you guys some guidance as well, and some grace to look at your garden and say, well, this is a bit of a disaster. It's not going to go the way that we planned, but it's okay to plant stuff anyway and just kind of see what happens and just trust that God's going to take care of the rest, even if it is with your garden, something as simple as your garden or something as complicated as your health. Trusting that God has this perfect timing, and He ultimately has the answer. And even as I'm talking about this, realizing that He has a purpose for what He's putting me through right now. Even if it is just to impact, even if it's just one of you, and just bringing one of you into God's kingdom. All of the pain and the
lack of understanding that I'm going through is worth it. And I really appreciate you guys watching and being here for the process. And just, I really hope that you guys can understand the why behind my garden not looking a certain way, maybe, or the heartfelt cry videos, apparently. I don't love sharing vulnerability. My very close friend, very best friend from whenever I was a child, actually came to visit the last couple days, and seeing her and talking to her was such a gift and such a blessing. And God talked through her for me and to my heart in so many deep ways. And one of those was we talked about both of us very much struggling with vulnerability, and how yet we felt like we could be vulnerable to each other and it'd be okay. And we trusted each other to hold our vulnerability and not harm it. And so the thought of being vulnerable to hundreds of you, possibly more, is growth for me in many ways, and something that is not easy, but God is asking me to do it, and I will do it. I am doing it. And that's pretty incredible. And so if I can just ask for your prayers and your thoughts for me and my family, and as well as anyone else who is dealing with anything similar, anything that feels overwhelming or out of control, painful, all of these things, like if we can just all wrap each other in love and wrap each other in prayer and in the kingdom of God and what his kingdom stands for, even if it's for a complete stranger, you have no idea what their name is and what they do, like just say a prayer for them and say, please just wrap that person, whoever they may be, whatever their need may be, in your love and your protection. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching and hearing me out. And I know that my garden is going to be beautiful. I'm working on adjusting my expectations of myself and having grace for myself. And for the possibility that my garden may not look the way that I had envisioned it to look at the beginning of the season. But even as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that it might be even more epic than I could have ever imagined. And that's really exciting, because ultimately I am not the one that's in control of it. God is in control of it. And God's in control of me. My physical form, my mental form. Like, he's in control of all of it and has a beautiful purpose for all of it. And so I'm probably just going to go out and sit in the garden after I'm done recording this and just take that in and fully embrace this season that God has me in, and continue to walk in faith and in trust of his leading. I pray for any of you who are experiencing anything similar, that God just wrap you in his grace and in his strength, in his perfection, that he's going to get you through it, and that he's going to put people in your life and in your path, even if it's for a moment or for a while, that are going to build you up and bring you closer to him and show you his love, his compassion, and his strength. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching.